as I said before, we have 5 Republican candidates running for Michigan governor of 2022. The 5 candidates are Kevin Rinke, Ryan Kelley, Garrett Soldano, Tudor Dixon, and Ralph Rebandt. Now, also, I've said this before too, Gretchen Whitmer, the current governor, Democrat, is polling at 58%. These people that I just listed here are 24% and below. Kevin is at 24%. Ryan is at 23%. Garrett, 22%. Tudor, 21%. Ralph, 19%. Yeah. So the other night in Grand Rapids, they had a debate. So this is a Republican debate for Michigan governor. And let me just kind of give you a little bit of the stuff that they said. And needless to say, I think that debate was kind of pathetic. It was pathetic. It was a little bit of a clown show. I will say that it was somewhat more professional than the Republican debate that you saw between the 17 Republicans in 2016. It definitely was a little bit more civil than the general election debates that you saw from 2016 and 2020. But maybe some of the things that they're saying right here will give you an insight as to why they're polling so low. And this is aside from Whitmer's record. Aside from that, Garrett Soldano says, just so you guys can tell I'm reading off Garrett Soldano says, Whitmer is taking away our constitutional freedoms and rights. Okay, so here's the deal. There's a Republican congressman, the late congressman, his name is Paul Mitchell. He passed away last year. He was a congressman in Michigan. I believe he was in the 10th district. And he actually made that same argument. He said that Whitmer was taking away our constitutional freedoms and rights. And I don't know if some of you remember the story, but to those of you who don't, he actually sued or attempted to sue Gretchen Whitmer for that. And guess what? It went nowhere. Now, why did it go nowhere? Because the idea of her taking away constitutional freedoms and rights is just simply not true. Now, some people will say, oh, well, what about the stay-at-home order? Or what about when you can't go grocery shopping? And well, even some of that's untrue. I believe it was Tudor Dixon who said, she said, our kids can't even go outside. They can't enjoy themselves and have fun. No one said that you can't go outside. Where was that at in the order? Nobody. There were businesses that were shut down, yes, and people have they have a right to be pissed off about that. But that didn't last long. A lot of them reopened back up. When she says wear a mask, how is that an invasion of constitutional right and freedom? What do you mean I can't do anything I want now because I have to wear a mask? What does that mean? Do what you normally do, just with the mask on. You can still go to the grocery store, just mask. I mean, recently they did lift the mask mandate, so that a lot of people were happy and relieved about that. But when I had to wear a mask, it didn't stop me from doing the things that I normally do. I could go to the grocery store, just wear a mask. Some friends could gather. We could hang out at a place just with a mask. Go to your job, just wear a mask. Now, to those of you who might have had jobs cut because of COVID, I'm sorry about that. I'm glad a lot of those reopened back up. Let's get into it. Let's see. Tudor Dixon said kids. No, I'm sorry, I already read that part. One of the Republicans in there, I believe it was either Garrett or Kevin, that said the Green New Deal is ruining our economy. And this was just a bad idea by Joe Biden and the Democrats. Okay, hold on. All right. First of all, you guys are running for governor of Michigan. So a lot of this has much less to do with what Biden and the White House are doing and more to do about anything that's happening in Michigan. Now, aside from that, even if you, again, regardless of what you think about Joe Biden, whether you love him or hate him or feel any way in between, I'm going to tell you something that's a fact. He did not do the Green New Deal. And I'm not even 100% certain that he wants to do it. Or if he simply even, maybe he cares, maybe he doesn't. You have the people of the progressive wing of the party, the far left, the Alexia Cortez, the Rashida Tlaib, the Cori Bush, and that whole group, Bernie Sanders, they're the ones trying to push Biden to do it. He has not yet done it. So how can you say the Green New Deal has ruined the economy and ruined the country when it didn't even happen? Our economy and our country is ruined because of something that's not existent or has not even been implemented. So a lot of people looked at that and said, well, wait a second, we don't even have the Green New Deal. We may not even support the Green New Deal, but it's not here. It didn't do anything. Let's see. One of them, I think it was, what's his name? Ralph Rebandt. He said, he didn't even pronounce the word legislature correctly. He said legislature, which that's not a reason to despise a person. Okay, simple error. One of them actually said Whitmer is an extremist on death and is responsible for the deaths of elderly people in nursing homes. Okay, I'm glad that you said that, because let me say this right here. According to Bridge, Michigan, one of her staff said, and despite widespread claims by Republican lawmakers and frustrated families, no nursing homes were forced to take COVID-19 residents, Gordon said. Gordon, who's one of Whitmer's staff. So anybody that went into those nursing homes because of that wasn't because of anything Whitmer said or did. A lot of those places chose to do it. And I feel sorry for the people who died and the people who have relatives that have died there. Hey, listen, by the grace of God, and rest in peace. And, you know, I just want to let you know, I genuinely feel sorry for that, and I do have sympathy, okay? I have an elderly family member who passed away a couple of years ago, too. It wasn't due to COVID, but it's sad when you lose a loved one. Let's just put it that way. That's not on Whitmer. Enough people have the sense to see that she wasn't responsible for that. Another one. One of the Republicans in there also said, I believe it was Kelley that said this. He said, Whitmer is bypassing the state legislature. How? How is that possible? If Whitmer was bypassing the state legislature, don't you think she would have done more? She would have done more executive orders. We have a Democratic governor and we have a Republican state legislature. I mean, what do you... Okay, well, what? She's acting like a dictator. How? Nobody can answer that. People are just spewing right-wing talking points and just making baseless claims. And at this point, I like it when they do it because they're making themselves look worse and worse, and they're helping us win. So keep on being stupid and keep on spewing that same garbage. It's okay. Keep doing that. Of course, they were asked. Now, the station that one of the guys who hosted this whole debate was Rick Albin, who runs the station. And I don't know why he brought this up, but then he asked them, well, do you believe that the 2020 presidential election was stolen from Donald Trump? Of course, they all said yes. And of course, they're on there arguing about who's the most loyal to Trump, and he's still my president. And it was stolen from him. There was voter fraud. And Garrett Soldano made this point. He said, well, in the documentary movie 2000 Mules, it talks about how the election was stolen and what the Democrats do to steal it. I'm going to tell you this right now. I didn't even watch the documentary, but I'm going to tell you right now, and you can call me stupid if you want to. I didn't watch it, but I don't believe that. I really don't believe that, because if that was the case, doesn't that mean that the election would be overturned? Wouldn't that be your evidence right there that the Democrats stole the election? And how many times do I have to say this? There were 60 plus court cases, and Trump lost every single case. Even the Republicans that he appointed on the courts couldn't back him. Even they said there was not enough evidence. Even William Barr, who's another one that I never could stand and I completely despise him, he's a crook too. Even he couldn't back Trump's claims. He said that during the hearings. So people could believe this all they want to. One of them actually said that Republican voters came up to them and said, I don't want to vote because my vote won't count. Hey, here's the deal. Let's look at it like this. if you have a Democrat candidate and a Republican candidate, which is always the case in a general election, the Democrat candidate has their supporters and the Republican candidate has their supporters. In this particular case, they're running against Gretchen Whitmer, who's the Democratic governor. She has a group of supporters, and each of these Republicans here have a group of supporters. If they choose to not vote in the general election because they think it's fraudulent anyway, and Gretchen gets reelected, which obviously she's on track to get reelected, that's not fraud. If you just choose not to show up and not vote, then your vote won't count. And I kind of hate to say this right now because I'm not trying to help the Republicans. I'm a Democratic advocate, so I'm trying to help the Democrats. But I say to Democrats, if Republicans feel that their vote doesn't count and they want to not vote, then let them not vote. They can't say that that's cheating on our part. That's nobody's committing a crime. Nobody's forcing you to vote or to not vote. If you want to vote, get out there and vote. If you don't want to vote, then just shut up and stay home. Or if you want to vote third party, whatever. I don't know what you mean when you say your vote won't count because of the 2020 presidential election. What do you mean? Because your president screwed up so much that a lot of people just wanted him out, and so that's what we did? And so our candidate won the popular vote and the Electoral College? That's cheating? The Republicans in the debate also stated that our Secretary of State, Jocelyn Benson, removed voter IDs. That's not true. She got elected in 2018, and when I went to go vote, not only that year, I voted in 2020 and 21, and one of them I went to go vote in person, and the other I did go to vote early. I went up to the clerk's office, and both times I had to present ID, and everybody who was there had to present ID too. So what do you mean when you say she removed voter ID? I have not seen that. Soldano says he supports the peaceful protest at January 6th. That wasn't a peaceful protest. They were chanting "Hang Mike Pence," and one of those idiots walked into Nancy Pelosi's office and sat right on her desk. Get this stupid. I don't see anything peaceful about what you're talking about right there, Garrett. The immigration problem was handled much better under Trump than under Biden. Okay, again, I don't know what that has to do with the governor's race, but let's just say for a split second it does have something to do with the governor's race. I thought that so Biden's immigration policy is supposedly worse than both Obama's and Trump's. Well, guess what was going on under all three presidencies? Kids were in cages, families were separated. You say that it was handled better by Trump. How? He didn't release any of them. Biden didn't. Obama didn't. And who knows? This might have been going on under Bush, Clinton, whoever else too. There's no telling how long that's been going on. I don't know what you're saying that Trump did that was so different than what the other presidents did. At the end of the day, for decades probably, those families were separated. Those kids were in cages. Again, it's a talking point. Nobody's buying it. The FBI ignored Black Lives Matter protesters. That's what one of the Republicans in the debate said. Really? You don't know that there were those people that burned down all those buildings and cities that were in Minnesota after George Floyd was killed by that racist officer, Derek Chauvin. You don't know that a lot of people there, a great number of people who were there got arrested. Yeah, they did. For them to sit there and say, well, nobody got in trouble there, but all those people at January 6th, no, a lot of people got in trouble both at the January 6th and at the George Floyd protest. So, again, BS. Let's see. Tudor Dixon, I believe, was the one who said, well, the COVID is being handled much better in the Republican states versus Democrat states. Look at California. Gavin Newsom is the governor out there. He's polling at 57%. Everybody else is polling at 20-something%. Most people in California like how things are being handled out there. Florida, on the other hand, well, the governor of Florida said he didn't even know that you could be asymptomatic. And, well, no, I'm sorry, I messed that up. What he said was, he said that he didn't know that you can get the virus if you're asymptomatic, and that happened. He opened up beaches during the peak of COVID, and 2 or 3 other Republican governors did the exact same thing. Brian Kemp of Georgia, Kevin Stitt of Oklahoma, and I believe it was Greg Abbott in Texas. So, people, just to give you a summary right here. So, this is pretty much what the debate covered. So they weren't really talking about anything substantive. All it was Whitmer killed old people, and Biden is poor on immigration, and Trump is still our president, and the election was stolen. That's really all it came down to. And to all you Republicans that were in that debate, Kevin, Ryan, Garrett, Tudor, Ralph, you guys wonder why you're polling so low? This is why. You guys have no substance. You can't get past 24%. Kevin Rinke, you're the highest right now, 24%. Even that's not going to top Whitmer. Whitmer is 58%. You're losing to her by 34 points. Ralph Rebandt, that's probably the most embarrassing. 19 points. Whitmer's at 58 points. You're losing by 39 points. Golly. That's tough. I don't know how you're going to get past that. So, people, I just want y'all to understand. So that right there was a summary of the Michigan Republican debate for governor 2022. And get out and vote for Whitmer.